Hey everyone, it's Joe here, Dietitian, just doing a sneaky little Q&A for you guys. I had some questions in my Facebook group and on the page as well, so I want to get to those, particularly focusing on gut health, but also a bit of emotional eating, and I guess that kind of overlaps into weight loss goals as well. So if you can hear me okay, can you just put yes in the comments? I'll just let people trickle on because I'm using this system and sometimes it stuffs up, and I have a mic as well to make sure the audio quality is good. But if you do tune in, let me know. Yeah, if you can hear me okay, and if you can see me. Hi Sylvie, how's it going? Can you hear me okay? Can you see me okay? If you watch live, let me know where you're coming in from. If you're watching in the group, there may be a link you have to click to comment versus if you're watching on the page, it's a bit of a pain in the butt. But and yeah, if you get a question from what I'm saying, like please let me know. So the first one was okay. Thanks, Sylvie. Thanks for letting me know. I'll paste the questions here. Like I'll post them myself, and then I can bring them up. So I didn't ask myself this. This was asked by Nikki. And this is a fun one to start. I am going to do actual nutrition questions, but her question made me think, why did I choose this job as a career as a dietitian? And it is a funny one because when I started studying it, and I finished a long time ago, 2011 now, I realized that apparently nutrition science and food stuff is for women only, girls, because I think in a class of 100 something people, there were 3 guys, I think, and I was like, why is this why are men not interested in nutrition? Of course they are. Super confusing, and still to this day, I think it's 10 or 15 or 5 or 8% or something is men only. I'm not quite sure why, but anyway, I didn't know any of that. Not that it matters. I studied exercise science. I was just interested in health, and then realized second year of that nutrition was fascinating to me, particularly nutrition science. Learning like, why is chili spicy? Oh, it's capsaicin, this food compound, this chemical. This is really interesting to me. I don't know. And then it went from there, and it got into coaching and writing and marketing and running a business and all the fun stuff. So that's kind of why. I don't know if that's a good answer really, but that's where I'm at. So I've just got another screen here. I'm grabbing the questions here. So this one is about probiotics. So bring this one up. This was from Allison. Do you believe that probiotics are an important tool to have as well as, I suppose, as well as dietary change? She talks about her issues here, especially someone with unexplained IBS, and my symptoms fluctuate between constipation and diarrhea, lots of bloating and burping regularly. I don't no, probiotics are like a Band-Aid, right? So like if you cut your hand and it was a deep cut, well, a Band-Aid's kind of going to help initially, or it helps for a short term, but it doesn't fix the problem, right? You got to put some disinfectant on that. You might need some stitches for that to heal properly. So you can look at probiotics kind of as the Band-Aid, because we don't know enough yet. What I find with clients is they will take a probiotic for a while and it seems to help, and then it stops. And so it's like, well, did it actually help? If it did, does it need to be cycled? On, off, month on, month off, or something like that. Does it actually resolve the problem? Nope. And that's when you're going to be stuck spinning your wheels, right? So if you're watching this and you've had symptoms for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you tried all different things, well, you're not getting to the problem. The tricky thing with IBS is that's a diagnosis you get lumped with when they can't find anything else, right? It still has a cause. If we knew the cause, sometimes it changes treatment slightly. But what I'll say is that it's mostly, of course, food intolerance is a major aspect, and that's what I help with predominantly. But I would say probably 2 in 5 clients, 2 or 3 in 5, have a large like psychological component where anxiety or stress also contributes or exacerbates symptoms. So the food intolerance might be there, and then there's other factors that amplify it. Does that make sense to people? Hi, Kelly. How's it going? Let me know where you're from. And so you need to be approaching it holistically. You need to be approaching it very methodically. I would eliminate confounding factors. So say you're going to follow a low FODMAP diet or some sort of elimination approach, depending on where you're at. It depends if it's appropriate for you or not. It really depends on you specifically and your health conditions and stuff. Start with that. Remove probiotics because they could either cause symptoms or help temporarily, and it makes things very blurry and fuzzy. It's not done methodically. You need to start with a clean slate, following a specific diet. Then we rechallenge foods first. Probiotics is kind of like the icing on the cake. We can explore that later. There is some good research. I have on my website, if you go to dietversusdisease.org, if you search probiotics IBS, I've got a review about what I think about that. But essentially, don't use them first. And as for fluctuating between C and D, so common. It can be. There's so many factors there. So it's not only food intolerance. It's what's your fiber levels? How's your stress? Are you anxious? Do you think that plays a part? I need to see your diet. But if you're really feeling frustrated, it's good to get some help with this stuff. Oh yeah, if you're enjoying this, if you like this video, please give it a like. That might help bump it up and help people see it. Okay, I'll prioritize live questions, of course. Stella, constipation and underactive thyroid seem to go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Is there any way naturally that can help this? So I would say, I would say 30% of my clients are like weight loss goal, 30% IBS, and 33% hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, hypothyroid typically, right? And there's a lot of overlap between the digestive symptoms and autoimmune disease, such as Hashimoto's or underactive thyroid, as you're saying. Yes, with constipation as well. Stella, I need you to watch. I will. So I've got a video by Jenny who has underactive thyroid, constipation, long time, like a whole life, tried all sorts of things, very frustrated, always felt cold, very bloated, had food fear basically, but was also giving, got to the extent of doing home enemas. So if anyone's doing that, you're not alone. I know when it gets severe, people are performing these fleet enemas at home. That's okay. At that stage, you got to get some help and guidance, and that's what we help people do. So So Jenny, we've resolved pretty much all of that, and Stella. So there's a processes you got to go through, because what's causing the constipation? Is it a food intolerance? Is it a nerve issue? Because a lot of people with constipation, it's not we find low FODMAP diet doesn't help. Because maybe it's actually a nerve issue. There's no signal there to move things along, so it goes very slow, if at all. And then there's also the stress or anxiety. If you classify yourself as having a lot of stress and anxiety and holding that tension in your gut, you mightn't realize. This is when we're looking at more gut-directed therapy, and this is something I have in my client group as well, because resolving the issues, you've got to approach this stuff holistically, because it's probably lots of different things that's contributing, and you may have different conditions, as you're saying, constipation, underactive thyroid. So you need to kind of you don't want to do one thing at a time. You want an approach that's going to help all things, because then the benefits will snowball. Just like things can snowball out of control the wrong way, if we start to implement ways for you to improve the constipation and the underactive thyroid symptoms, if it's diet related or lifestyle related or whatever, we do all these things at the same time slowly, and it snowballs, and the progress gets bigger and bigger, and things get better and better. Hopefully that makes sense, Stella. But I need you to watch Jenny's video. If you go to, let me know, Stella, if you've got a follow-up question. How can I send you her video? I can message it to you after. Just send my page a message and remind me, and you can watch it. It's just like 10 minutes or something. Just what she did and how that helped. So I think you'll like that. Hi Raj, hi Kimberly and Sylvie. Okay. What's your view on a vegan diet? What's the context of the question, right? How long is a piece of string? It depends who's asking, right? And for what for. But of course, there's plenty of very healthy vegans, I'll say. But, are we talking about weight loss? Are you talking about food intolerance? Are you talking about environmental impact, like cost? Kimberly takes probiotics every morning. Yeah, like they don't do any harm. So that's I'm glad you said that, Kimberly. I'm all for, like, I don't want to use supplements. Okay, like I said, it's just like relying on medication. What I tell clients is, like, we want to move you away from as many supplements and medication as possible, and do things with real food and looking at habits and lifestyle changes and all that. And if we have to supplement, then we supplement if there's a deficiency, right? If you want to use something like a probiotic, if it does no harm, then by all means. And for the majority of probiotics, I would say, as far as we know, do no harm. So if you feel like it helps, it helps. So then by all means. Psyllium husk fiber capsules are okay to use daily. So Sylvie, that's one of the things we'll use. I use powder, psyllium husk, just as powder, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose, that you mix in a drink. But it depends on, do you need it or not? It depends. Are we talking about constipation? We're talking about diarrhea. How much you're having? Have you made sure that psyllium husk we kind of do down the line a bit. We need to have a look at your diet first, help you with that, kind of guide you through that for a couple of weeks and see what's happening. Can we fix things without psyllium husk? And then if so, all right, well, if we can't, all right, we can try a few things. That could be one of them. We could see how you react. There's loads of different types as well, because some people, they'll have psyllium husk and they won't improve. Okay. Hi, Lynette. Welcome. What are your top tips for people who get significant frequent cravings for sugar? Does anyone else get significant frequent cravings for sugar? Put a yes in the comments. I'm curious of the 20 or so people watching. So, and especially being at home, right, with a fridge, people have been stuck at home, and it's a different environment. You're often right there, or there's kids running around eating all sorts of junk. It depends on why. Like, when you say you get significant frequent cravings, like, what's significant? As in, like, you're giving in and eating. And when you say sugar, Lynette, what do you mean, right? I think we need to get more clear on that, because I speak to people. I want to get you thinking a little bit, like, oh yeah, I'm addicted to sugar. It's I just crave sugar, and I say, are you sure? Because if I put a bag of table sugar on the table, the dining table, or in front of you at your work desk with a spoon, will you eat that sugar? Will you not be able to stop thinking about that bag of table sugar? And will you find yourself just dipping your hand in and rubbing sugar in your face? Because that's the purest source. That's 100% sugar. Does that happen to anyone? Typically, no, right? So it's not sugar. I get what you're saying. You're addicted to junk foods, which is high sugar, high fat. That's what junk food is. It's a combination of both. If you think chocolate, like potato chips, crisps, ice cream, anything like that, it's actually 50% fat, 50% sugar. So that's what you're actually liking because the flavor's good and it makes our brain feel nice. And that brings me to the point of what I'm saying. Why do we crave those foods, right? And this is like a whole nother topic. I'll be here talking for a long time, but it comes down to our hormones. And I've been researching a lot about this and I want to make a really nice presentation. So humans, we are just we respond to our emotions. Emotions make all the decisions and dictate how we feel and what we do and how we act, whether we're hungry or not, whether we're tired or not. If we go back and even another level, so there's like us, then there's our emotions. What's causing our emotions is our hormones. They dictate everything. Okay, how if you're in a good mood or not. Yeah, if you're sleepy, if you're hungry, if you're not hungry. So it's a hormone level. What's making us want to eat those foods? Why do we turn to that if we're stressed or if we have anxiety or we emotionally eat, or like binge eating? By the way, it's a lot more common than people talk about. If you've been doing that, it's normal. Okay, everyone does it, and we know how to help you with that. You've got to understand these deeper levels. So what's happening at the hormone level is that thinking of that food and the process of eating it provides dopamine. Okay. So not to be confused with endorphins. I used to confuse this. Endorphins being that pleasurable feeling like afterwards. But when we eat junk, right, do we feel good after? Typically no, right? Or as soon as we're done, we just want some more. And this is the dopamine that's fueling your brain to do this, to have these, to keep going back for this food. And that's why we're craving it, because the hormone dopamine is being released in the brain and it rewards that behavior. Because back in our caveman Neanderthal days, the brain's actually very like simple. It's just like, what do I need to survive? It's just like ones and zeros, either yes or no. And so this kind of high calorie food tastes good. It's like, yes, 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 yes. It will keep going for that. And obviously that's not so advantageous in our food environment these days. But another example of dopamine firing, okay, if I'm kind of losing you, is scrolling on your phone. Think about it. I catch myself every day and I'm trying to do it less and less. You might be, if you're kind of in between waiting for something, you'll get your phone out, right? And you'll go straight to Facebook or Instagram or something. Now, why do we scroll? And they've programmed this very well. It's very smart. What are you looking for, right? Do you know what you're looking for when you scroll? No one really does, right? You're waiting for something to happen, something exciting. It's like playing a gambling game or something. That's your dopamine going. Like it's very high when we scroll. That's why we're so addicted. That's why you could be watching this now, and if you scroll, it moves the video to the corner of your screen, but it lets you keep scrolling because you're watching something, you're learning, but your brain's still like, nah, I want more dopamine. I want more. I want more. I want more. So you keep scrolling and scrolling, and you'll, and eventually I catch myself like, well, when does it end? Right? It never ends until you catch yourself. So that's an example of dopamine happening, and this is happening when we're thinking about those foods as well. So we need to really find ways to lower our sensitivity to that. So that means like, what time are you having these kind of sweet foods? Really make it a discipline to lower dopamine spiking activities to really late in the day as a kind of reward, because this is the reward circuitry of the brain we're talking about now. So if you've got these boundaries in place where I only scroll on my phone after work, after 5 p.m. or before bed, or I only eat sweet foods after dinner, or late in the day, not at morning tea, not at the office when they've got cakes and muffins around. I don't start my day with those foods, because think about it. What happens when you eat these kind of chocolate or these kind of things early in the day. You want them the rest of the day. Does anyone else, like, have you noticed that? Or if you reflect now, have you noticed that? Like, if I serve you a plate of chocolate and muffins in the morning, do you think you're going to eat healthier that day than if you were to eat something healthy in the morning? Think about that. This is all comes down to dopamine. And so my tip is start thinking about, when these things are coming in your day, if you do feel like your body wants a lot of dopamine, you need to think about how can we lower that threshold, because it's always looking to get more and more and more. That's how the brain works. And then as for tips, so that's the real deep stuff. Then there's tips and stuff, how's your food environment? Do you need junk in the house? Can you keep it, in a different shelf? That surface level stuff, it can help. But do you see where I'm coming from, Lynette? So I'm like really trying to, if I can teach you the real deep level stuff, if we peel back all the layers of the onion and get to the good stuff, it'll make you cry. But it's what you need to do to actually address the problem. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Okay, there was a couple comments here. I'll just scroll back. Dominic, monk fruit, sugar, other types of sugar good like stevia. Well, there's sugar. So there's sugar and then there's natural and artificial sweetness. So they're different, but it depends on the problem. But you can have sugar in your diet and be 100% healthy person. Lynette, you get the dopamine hit. Yeah, for sure. And that's fueling the behavior. And we got to break that. And just us in Western countries, we've got this very high threshold, so that our dopamine bar is up here. So the humans, we're trying to reach that every day, whereas people who don't scroll on their phone, for example, never eat junk food, they get the dopamine thresholds down here, so they get the same pleasure from less. Hopefully that makes sense. Really, any tips to maintain a healthy diet while fasting for Ramadan? Yeah, well, just it's only 1 month, so like don't beat yourself up. You're going to be in calorie deficit. I think the average person loses about 2 kilos or 4 or 5 pounds during that month. Of course, they gain it back within 2 weeks, but you're it's not like you're going to overconsume calories typically. I would just be trying to make sure it's still like just those 2 meals per day, for example, like when you break fast and perhaps in the morning or something, but not just grazing on, just look at the food quality, the things you're having in between meals. Yeah. So Lynette, so like that's the next step, right? It's more, you can't compete. Okay. So like reading a book cannot compete with scrolling. Getting your dopamine from raspberries will not compete with Ben & Jerry's cookies and cream, ice cream. It cannot. These things are artificially made. Like when our brain evolved, like they didn't exist, and humans are smart, and we've managed to manufacture these things that can like just send it off the charts. So rather than trying to compete with that, hey, eat a banana. It's just as good as Ben & Jerry's cookies and cream, cookie dough. Like, no, it's not. Everyone knows that. So you need to instead look at, can I lower my threshold for dopamine so that I will feel the same satisfaction with the banana instead? Because it's possible we start out that way and we go the wrong way, and we can bring ourselves back. Constant gas. Yeah, I mean, it could be so many things. So first thing I would do is just cut out onion and garlic, and then assuming you can do that, possibly wheat fructans. So basically, if you go gluten-free, just as a trial, just do it for a week and see if it helps, because it probably will. And then you can re-challenge those things back and see what's causing the problem. And if it doesn't help, then you need to go more into that. But if it's just, it depends on your stomach pain, right? If this is something severe, then you've got to go to the doctor to get some tests and rule some things out. I think as I have to do my due diligence and say you've got to rule out the more sinister things, right? Okay, so I'm going to move back to my pre-submitted questions. If anyone gets a question, let me know in the comments. It's fun to answer live, right? Where's my mouse cursor? There it is. Okay, this one's another supplement question. I'll just have to post it as a comment myself. By the way, you guys have a YouTube channel. if you want to check it out, although I haven't made a new video in a while. Do you believe that it is important to take vitamins or supplements, or can we get everything our body needs from food? You can, but there's people with medical issues where then it's not possible, or genetic things that happen. So I believe that majority of people can get everything their body needs from food. There's a lot of people who cannot if they have certain medical issues. When you get past a certain age, like iron for women just becomes tricky. That I tend to observe that. So that's my answer to that. It depends on the person, but I do definitely take a food first approach. Oh, Bella has a good one. Bella's is about emotional stress and the gut. How bad can emotional stress wreck the gut? Very, very. Yeah, look, it's like I said. So when we're treating IBS, and not even just IBS symptoms, but it can be someone with diverticulitis or an inflammatory bowel disease or gastritis. But IBS is one of the symptoms they're having later on. Your emotional stress, anxiety, your psychological state, greatly influences that. So the way you resolve that is, well, a lot of things, but if I can pinpoint the one service that I'm thinking of is gut-directed therapy or gut-directed hypnotherapy, which is a type of, it's not like a TV hypnotherapy. It's just a type of way that we help people change behavior. The success rate is the same as a low FODMAP diet. So you've got, I think, 80% really good response rate on a low FODMAP diet, which is food only, and you have an 80% response rate on gut-directed therapy. So then that's because emotional stress triggers lots of symptoms. Like for me, if I'm stressed out, like trying to fix problems with the business or whatever, I will wake up and have digestive symptoms straight away. And if I'm relaxed and chill, I won't. And it's not triggered by what I ate. It can be exacerbated by what I ate and vice versa. But on its own, stress can really cause gut issues. You can have an empty stomach and it will still trigger. So you need to. So that's what we're doing with clients now. We do both. So if I was like, well, hang on, if it's 80% diet helps people and 80% gut-directed therapy, well, if we help people with both, then our success rate is going to be like way better than any other service. So that's what we're doing now. So hopefully, Bella, you want to sign on with us and work with us. And we do it over a long period of time as well, because you can't fix this stuff overnight. If I could, I would tell you how, I promise. If it was just as simple as doing a meal plan, or like, hey, just listen to this meditation recording once a week, it's not that straightforward. Okay, this one's about chronic inflammation. Oh, this is a good one. Anyway, is this format useful for you guys to like see the question and hear the answer like this and me posting it? Let me know, because I'm just testing some things, so it's nice to get feedback. This was from Chanel. What foods should I eat to combat chronic inflammation? Chronic pain daily. I'm using turmeric and ginger in my food sometimes. 3 weeks. Is this really helpful? Yeah, so this is an instance where I can see supplements being beneficial. So pain and inflammation, like turmeric, specifically curcumin, right? The active ingredient in turmeric. That's what's beneficial. So you can't just cook with turmeric each day and eat a, lentil soup or something. You for it to be effective, like when people are saying, yeah, it's anti-inflammatory properties, the dose is important, and you need actually the supplemental dose, because that's what's been tested in studies. So if they find it helps, but it's at 3,000 milligrams, you need to have 3,000 milligrams for us to be confident that it's going to be useful to you and not a waste of your money and time. So just something to think about there. I assume Chanel's talking about like chronic pain, like if we work with a fibromyalgia or something along those lines, where it's pain everywhere, which a lot of doctors will dismiss, or it's, you can't test for it. So a lot of people are like, well, we don't we don't know what to do, so you're kind of on your own, like good luck, God bless, kind of thing. But we definitely will help you with that. What food should I eat? It's more about what should you not be having. What's triggering your intolerances? What's really not in line with your goals? You don't have to exclude the good stuff by any means, but how does it look in the overall picture, month to month? What quantity of your diet is let's call it anti-inflammatory, and what is pro-inflammatory foods? So if you think of the junk foods I talked about before, for example, that's going to help your 90%. And then the turmeric and ginger, the supplements, maybe that's a 10%. Of course, these are kind of ballpark figures, but people just focus on the 10% because, well, it's easy. I just have to have this supplement. And they're ignoring the 90% because those changes are difficult. Those changes are deep-seated in habits and different things. So it's like, well, look, if you just focus on the 10%, you're going to get 10% change, if that. You need to be focusing on the 90%. And I say this a lot for people with a weight loss goal as well, who are exercising all the time, and they just kind of stay the same. Nothing really changes. And I say, well, if weight loss is your goal, 90% of your results is going to come from your nutrition and your diet changes. And then, of course, how our habits are there, how they're intertwined. But 10% is like you doing more physical activity. And there's other benefits to physical activity, health and stuff. But I'm talking about like weight loss itself or fat loss. People focusing on the wrong thing. So this question just says to me, it's a good question, but have you asked the other important question, and the 90% more important question? What foods should I be avoiding? And then it's basically all the processed things. It was Mother's Day last Sunday, and if you ate some cake and had some wine, like, cool, good. I hope you enjoyed it, and so you should, and I hope it was a fun occasion for you. That's okay. If you're having the wine and cake every evening by yourself, or eating whole cakes at once, that's when, okay, we can identify maybe there's something here that might not be in line with your goals, and let's help you to change that one step at a time. And if you're doing that, that could be contributing to inflammation, for example. If I try to wrap around my rant back to the question. Okay, and then who else had a question? Kelly's got one here about stress eating. It wasn't really a question. It was more a statement. Oh, yeah. Here's a question. Do you believe that a person intuitively knows what and when to eat? I would like to ask you guys, do you feel like you intuitively know what and when to eat or not? Just put yes or no. It's certainly something we learn at a young age. I believe so. I'd have to think about this question more. Um, I can 100% confidently say we lose if we had the intuition. Um, it's lost. It's definitely lost in most adults' lives. And it's very easy. It's simple to retrain yourself as well. I'd say I'm trying to think of a baby's habits. I mean, they kind of know when they want to breastfeed and when they want to stop in terms of like when they're hungry and when they're done, right? Maybe that's oversimplifying, but this is about intuitive eating, right? The ability to know when I am hungry and when I'm full, and to stop. Why can some people practice this and others not? Right. So there's already that difference there, and it's certainly learned over time. And I think, or either it's learned and maintained, or it's learned and goes away, or it exists and goes away, or exists and maintained. If you think about like in Japan, they have a phrase called harahachi bu. Harahachi bu. I'm probably absolutely butchering the pronunciation, but it means like eat until you are, this is a loose translation. Eat till you're like 80% full and stop. So that's like a form of intuitive eating, really. And we think about, like Okinawa, an island in Japan, has the most centenarians in the world per population. So the most people over 100 years old. So those people are doing something right. And one of the big principles is they eat together. That's an important one. But also they practice this harahachibu. Like they don't stuff themselves. They'll eat till they're like kind of almost full and stop, knowing that, there's a little bit of a delay, but the brain, the stomach will tell the brain that, hey, there's food down here and we're good. And then they stop. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, but it can definitely be learned in any case. I think that's the bottom line. This one's not much of a question, but it just quickly touches on what I was saying earlier. You see there's a lot of overlap. Like I end up being a broken record because people have the same questions, right? The same problems. You have the same problems. And the questions you're too afraid to ask, like about binge eating and stuff, other people have those problems as well. And they're also afraid to ask. But I see this stuff all the time working. Like I've been doing this for 9 years now. So I've seen it all, but that's why I've already talked about a lot of the topics, because I know what's going to come up. So you're saying I eat healthy, I have my sweet tooth, right? Same as before with Lynette. Literally cut calories, no loss. Told need to eat more, then I gained. Worked with a trainer nutritionist 42 days and nothing. I'm so done. This is Susie. Couple of things here, and I'm just mindful of the time and my laptop battery. Sweet tooth, I'm trying to control. Yeah, I know how to help you control that, and we need to go to that level, that dopamine level, and some other things. It depends. Depends if you've got sort of binge eating behavior or not. I literally cut calories and no loss. For how long did you do it? How many did you cut? Did you track it? Was that accurate? Was someone helping you with this, or were you just trying to do it yourself? I was told I need to eat more. Who told you that? How much more did you eat? How are you assessing no loss and gain? Are you only weighing on the scales? What about measurements? What about other markers of progress? The scale shows your skeletal mass, blood volume, muscle mass, fat mass, fluid, big one, influences things. So yeah, worked with a trained nutritionist 42 days. Newsflash, 42 days is not long. There's 365 days in a year. If you've been eating pretty poorly or not thinking about your health for 20 years, that's like 8,000 days. Now, 42 days, giving it 42 days is just, you're just starting. That's far too short. And that's a big problem. People have got the wrong expectations, and they're setting themselves up to be disappointed because you don't allow yourself enough time, and you need to shift your perspective. People are so impatient, and I'm actually doing a talk with a gut-directed therapist in my client group next Tuesday, Wednesday, about this topic exactly. We're going to look at how scanning and scrolling, like I was talking about before on the phone, affects how patient we are as well, and how this is carried over into when people are trying to make health changes, because we want things now. We don't want to wait for things to load. Like we have to have it now, or we get frustrated and angry, and that in turn is blocking you from getting there. Because if you're just stuck with something, you might have been just around the corner, like it was going to happen for you, but you stopped. And that's why a lot of people fail at everything, like not just health, but like in business or anything that's meaningful to you in life. Like people just stop too soon. That's kind of the big difference for a lot of people. You want to find that you're on the right trajectory and doing the right things, and have someone who's teaching you the right things to focus on. But if you just stop too soon, then of course you can't get there. I'll just go back in case I missed a question. Laura had a question. What foods do you recommend eating or avoiding directly after working out when aiming to gain muscle mass? Protein. Just eat protein. Protein is the amino acids in protein are like the building blocks of muscle. So what happens when you're working out and you're trying to gain muscle mass? If you get sore the next day, right, from training, what's happened? Muscle fibers at the microscopic level have torn a little bit, and they need to repair. When they repair stronger and a little bigger than last time. That's what building muscle is. That's why it gets stronger, and then they tear a little bit and they get built stronger. Now, what helps them repair and build stronger? They use protein, the amino acids. So that's the thing you got to focus on. Aim for 30% of your calories from protein if you can, and then you will maximize those gains. If you really skimp on that, then you're leaving money on the table. It's like you sit down with someone and they're like, here's $20, and you're like, I'll just take 10. And then you go and meet them again 3 times a week like you were training, and they're like, here's $20. You're like, I'll just have 10. Thank you. Bye. You've got to maximize your protein. Cool. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's see if we've got any other ones. This was more of a statement about diverticulosis, and if I say a topic and someone wants me to talk about one, then let me know. Hi, Joanna. Thank you for the comment. This was about diverticulosis, but it wasn't a question. That's not a question. This was more about a difficulty in being consistent, and I think a comment that will resonate with some people. I can focus on a few aspects if I drop something, and I usually drop the strength to not snack. The strength to not snack. Does that make sense? I have mostly healthy meals. In between, I snack on unhealthy stuff. Yeah, I think. Does anyone else experience that? I mean, I would say 99% of people. It's just about how much you snack and how many days you don't do that versus someone else. Um, so the strength to not snack, there's a problem already in that I could help you fix, Stematina. So you don't need the strength or willpower not to snack. If we, like I said, if we go down to, well, why are we snacking? If we look down there, if we peel back some layers, we can identify how we can actually fix it, where it's not just like you having to exercise more willpower. Yeah, is discipline important? Yeah, but it's not going to take you the whole way. So it's just, there's so many ways to approach that. Without more context, I couldn't say, but you're certainly like not alone. A lot of people go through that, and the way we'd approach it is different depending on you. I need to see your diet as well. When do the snacks happen? It's a really important thing to consider as well. In what environment? Is it really, are the snacks that bad? Is that what's stopping you from getting to your goal? So yeah, if it's a weight loss goal, yeah. If it's something else, not necessarily. Yeah, and then this is to go with Stella. I don't know, Stella Plant, if you're still on here, but like I said, I've seen all this stuff so many times. Let's just remember here. I have a tummy that never goes away. Otherwise, I'm slim. A low thyroid, awful chronic constipation. Very grateful for any guidance. Oh, Stella. So this was from Stephanie. Low thyroid, awful constipation. Yeah, they are the same. They're like, for whatever reason, there's this overlap. But I've taken clients through to resolve it. And that's why I want you to watch Jenny's video. But it's just we need to take a holistic kind of approach. I got to see what you're having. Can we optimize the thyroid? We need to see your blood test results, for example, as well. But can we optimize that? Can we figure out some food intolerance triggers? Because the bloating. So in this instance, Stephanie's saying she's got a tummy that never goes away. So that's, now we're looking at, you have to treat, like, constipation and diarrhea, even though they're related to bloating and pain and stuff, they're almost their own symptom as well. So when I'm with clients, I'm like, okay, well, what's your constipation and diarrhea like? How's that going this week? Whatever. How about bloating, pain, gas? And then thyroid things as well. So they're actually all separate. So we can definitely easily resolve the bloating that's going to be to do with food intolerance, potentially stress and that aspect as well. Then the constipation, we're going to do some things to figure out, hey, is it food slowing you down? Is it like to do with fluids? Is it to do with the muscles there, nerve issues? And kind of work through a checklist until we figure out what the heck is going on. So yeah, anyway, I just had thought of you, Stella, when I saw that comment. And then here's another one. Awful chronic constipation. Very grateful for any guidance. Track what you have. Like, you've got to be methodical. What are you eating? And are there things you're eating that make you constipated? Do you suspect or not? Or you're not sure? If you're not sure, then you've got to start mapping it out. You've got to work with someone who will do that for you and help you. That's what we do. Or like if you can see a dietitian in person, but it's just not as efficient, because if you work with us like this online, you can do it at home whenever you want. So it's always going to be faster and superior. But like, you need a clear picture on what foods are going with what symptoms, so you can connect the dots. Then you need to explore what's causing the constipation, and we can typically figure that out by how you respond to the diet. And then we need to look at, all right, what's a supplement? We use supplements to test what's the cause. if it is a nerve issue or not. There's different things you can try. And then we work through a list like that. Like there's so many things: L-arginine, magnesium, guar gum, psyllium. But we kind of do it very methodically, and then we can help you resolve that. So you're not, so you can just go to the loo like regularly, and like it all, and everything comes out, and it's all good. And it's not like, oh, I kind of went, but I still feel like I need to go. Like I understand the pain. Is fasting beneficial for SIBO? All right, this is a little FODMAP one, and then I'll come back to a live comment. And I'm going to speed up my answers now because I'm super running out of time. Why to eliminate only fructans? So this is in my 5-day challenge, you guys. I have a challenge. If you go to dietversusdisease.com/challenge-register, I do a free challenge. The whole point of the challenge is like give you a couple things to get started, and that you'll see that I'm a real person. I can help you. If you might be watching this and you're in the challenge, in which case you can ignore me for this part. But the whole point is you can see I can help, and hopefully you'll want to get some one-to-one help from me or my team, because that's what it comes down to. Like the generic plans and things, they don't work. I'm trying to help people realize that at some point you're going to have to get individual help for this, because it's an individual problem. And this question was about that. Why only eliminate fructans at the start on day one? I don't want to overwhelm people. If I was like, all right, everyone, day one, completely low FODMAP, autoimmune protocol, I'd be like, well, what can I eat? Right? So I'm kind of going for the big triggers first. Hey, if we cut out some of these, let's see what happens there. I'm not going to make you cut out everything, because you might not need to. And then, is fasting beneficial for SIBO? No. If fasting destroys the bad bacteria, then you can argue it will destroy the good bacteria as well. But it doesn't do that. So no. With SIBO, if you've got diagnosed SIBO, you've got to do an antibiotic round or two first. Normally with rifaximin and neomycin. We use as antibiotics first, and then after you can make some diet changes. Stella, I've done your thyroid course. No bloating now, gluten-free and lactose-free. Yeah, so big obvious ones for Hashimoto's that we see help to be dairy-free, maybe, similar to lactose-free, and gluten-free as well. It might not need to be forever though, but that's what people do find. Sylvie, what about a weekly cheat meal? Yeah, you can have a cheat meal. I'll ask you to swap your language. Change it to a treat meal, because you're not cheating on anything. You're not cheating on anyone. And there's nothing. A cheat meal has a negative connotation, right? If you cheated, it's bad. Or it's sneaky. Yeah, cheating, it's negative. A treat is positive. And you deserve to have a weekly treat meal for sure. So that can fit in, of course. The whole approach I do with clients is like, how can we get you to your goal and you still eat foods you enjoy, and we don't sabotage the results? We don't set you back, so you don't feel like you're missing out. That's what it comes down to, because now you'll be able to do this thing for months or years to get to your goal, if that's how long it will take. So you will get there, and you'll learn to stay there. So how can we, so that's kind of a little tip I have for you, but treat meal, not cheat. Cool. Last question. If you've enjoyed this, please give it a like, or even a share if you're watching on the page. You could share and write something nice about me or something. That'd be lovely. This was from Margaret. My question for you is related to supplements for diet. If lacking in a mineral vitamin, does a supplement work faster rather than ingesting a required nutrient via diet daily and why? Yeah, again, this like I said in the beginning, food first, definitely. If you're lacking in it, if you're deficient, right, then supplement it. Yeah. Iron, vitamin D. There's all sorts. Does a supplement work faster? Yeah, typically, but sometimes it needs the food matrix, like it needs the context of food to be absorbed better. So, for example, iron and vitamin C, iron absorbed much better with vitamin C. So, like, then it's better to, they usually will combine that in the supplement, but it's just like sometimes foods together, it's better. But if you're supplementing, that's typically a higher dose, and it's for if you have a deficiency. Yeah. Um, good. Alexander Hernandez, great work. Thank you. Cool, you guys. All right, I'm going to wrap up. I've been here talking for a while now. I hope you enjoyed this. Last thing, if you're interested in learning more about working one-to-one, and you're ready to make some, you're ready to make change, you're ready to fix things properly and get to this life that you've been wanting for a long time, but you've just been stuck doing it on your own, and you feel frustrated or confused, and you don't want to do it alone anymore, we can help you. We're 140 clients. All clients are in a community as well, but you work one-to-one with someone, either myself or a dietitian coach. It's going to hold your hand through the whole process from start to finish. Okay. And if it's a mindset thing or some sort of psychological thing that you feel is a part of a piece of your puzzle that's missing, we will help you with that as well. So it's not just strictly diet. I've really fine-tuned it, and it's ongoing process, but trying to make sure everyone has all the resources to get to their goal. And here's the kicker as well. I say to people, if you sign up to work with us and we don't get you to your goal, or you're unsatisfied by the time it's done, we will let you stay on in the program until you do, because that's how confident I am that it works. And I know it's what you need if you've been stuck. So if you're interested, you can comment interested below, and I can shoot you a message about what the options are and how we move forward with that. Thank you very much for watching, you guys, and I hope you have a good day. See yous.